Hey guys, my name is Bryce, and today I'm doing my mock of Quake Beast in his ultimate, no rules or restrictions form. Now what I mean by that is, in a previous video what I did of a mock, Quake Beast was sort of redone from the original version with some design constraints, namely weight and things like that, where my argument was that I wanted to make an edit to the original version, but not go overboard with budget and sort of additional details that would mostly be cosmetic. This is what you guys have been waiting for if you're waiting for that. This is where I went with a nod to the original, but also went in a slight deviation just to produce this hulking mass that you kind of see before you. So to go over the details, let's start with the feet and then work our way up. So I added claws, and I also added little stabilizing heels to it because just the weight of this in general, I should actually find out. So I got it zeroed in. Yeah, this weighs 8 ounces, which is almost twice what it was originally. The main reason why he's so much more bulky is not only did he bulk up in terms of mass in his torso and everything, but Quake Beast also acquired some allies while underground. My idea behind this is that Quake Beast essentially harnessed energy from the skull spiders underground and sort of allied with them in an interesting way where sort of the strong teams up with the weak, but ultimately makes a much more dangerous creature this way because, as you can see from the side here, he actually has one just clinging to his hand. It's one thing to take on Quake Beast on his own, but to have a small threat, but a threat nevertheless, also sort of antagonizing you while you're trying to keep focus on this beast that has a fist that is now larger than torsos of most Toa, then that's a real problem to deal with. The way I have this currently developed is there's one skull spider that's detachable that sort of hangs on to one of the arms that's a little bit less powerful and again has full dexterity and everything, just with oversized claws now. And the other one though sort of sits perched on the shoulder at all times, and reason for that is it's fairly straightforward to detach, but I've had to modify the legs to actually accommodate it for moving around, which you'll see in a moment. When it came to the chest piece, unfortunately these crystals that were printed on the chest still come across as too pink compared to even a sort of lighter hue of purple. As you can see in the sort of early Technic pieces that I incorporated. It's close, but it still stands out, so I opted not to go for it, and actually went with this sort of spiky chest piece, which you saw in Rawjaw from Hero Factory quite some time ago, but that's where I got the piece from, and that just complements the rest of the spiky features, including, you know, the Shadow Trap, for example, which again can keep masks in it, and I will forever love that piece. In addition to that though, while the right fist is again massive, I didn't actually choose to have the spikes go any larger because it actually would have problems with potentially harming Quake Beast when he would go to punch, because as you can see with this massive swing, it goes in quite tight to the chest, and I would have issues where it'd end up potentially inflicting self-damage, which would be interesting, but at the same time it happened too often to actually be a positive play feature. It'd be more of an issue just for playing around with it, up and around. You can see all these crystal blades coming off of it. I have that rather than the sort of more sword-like elements. Just to compare quickly, this is Kopaka's sword for example, but just as an idea, the swords are much longer than the more crystalline structures, but they're also a little bit more skinny, whereas these ones are more stout and, you know, more fragmented, and they seem to sort of fit the theme a little bit better, so that's why I opted for those. And fortunately I had 4 of the pieces, so I just went all out in it, and I really wanted to convey the idea that there's this chaotic energy that's growing out of this creature with all the crystalline structures forming. And as well, the skull spiders do sort of blend in with this color. Not entirely accurately, I mean as close between these two as potentially these, but I would make the argument that as cave-dwelling creatures as well, it kind of makes sense that this would almost sit on its shoulder like a companion parrot. Just trying this one out, but in any case, the reason why it's perched and it has these legs redirected in this way is to allow full range of movement, where the fist can go all the way back, all the way forward, in a pretty wide-reaching sort of punch from what you can see here. And again, because this ball and socket joint for the shoulder is actually not going out sideways, but going down, this allows for way more posability towards the front, and a lot of these crystal pieces can actually twist, so it allows some really interesting kind of poses, let alone, you know, being able to sort of clothesline or be able to sort of really curl in tight if you know, that's a sort of pose that you find necessary. And when it comes to the back, I opted for a gear on the back as opposed to having a little piece that you'd swing around, just because it's a little bit more comfortable for some people, just to make that an easy twist. And also just the way that your hands sort of keep the one axle centered, actually I find kind of helps stabilize the overall movement of everything. Because again, even though this character has thicker legs and the torso's weight is distributed fairly close to the center, it's still off-center, and I want to sort of eliminate any balance issues that I can. And as well, moving on to this side, I have a lot of Technic pieces sort of scaling around each other, just to sort of make this color more prevalent and also help it sort of blend in and kind of get the idea that it's all a cohesive thing, even though I'm adding another color into the mix, not including the skull spiders as well, which can complicate it. But I think overall though, adding these pieces as well as the one gray piece from Bruiser actually feels pretty much at home. In any case, there's a lot of backstory to this character, and in general, this Quake beast is just insanely strong. There's no way around it. With a posable jaw again, with, you know, vice-like grip from its left claw, and then just total destruction potential from its right claw, and a few minions as well in this form of skull spiders. I think this Quake beast is really ready to take on multiple Toa at once if it so chooses. And that concludes my mock video of Quake beast in its sort of no rules form. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.